Erin and Dusty, thank you for welcoming us into your home.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
You guys are glowing. You look incredible. Over 10 years on this lifestyle and truly like a shining example.
Well, thank you.
So we have so much to unpack in this interview. I was just saying too, I think they landed a plane for you once in the past when you had like health problems and anxiety before living this lifestyle.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. How are you guys?
Great.
Great now.
Yeah, better now than definitely that day. But no, we feel great. We just had some fruit. You're literally seeing how we live on a daily basis in our home. It's fun. We feel so good.
Yeah. Okay, so your journey first started with 40 days no meat, right? And then here we are 10 years later. So take us through what happened.
Yeah, I guess taking it back to college, that's honestly when we both kind of derailed. We were not in each other's spheres at this point, but growing up in high school, my mom was very much like all about juicing and smoothies, I think kind of ahead of her time. But at the same time, I was allowed to eat whatever I wanted to eat, a lot of Happy Meals and fast food and things like that too. So very much just like a little bit of everything, typical standard American diet. And I was great. And fast forward to college, all of a sudden, no longer in sports. No longer had the curfew. It was pretty much a free for all, but I didn't even know how to, boil a pot of water, let alone make a whole meal. So it was like a steady diet of whatever could pop in the microwave, the carton of milk in my mini fridge in my dorm, and the beef jerky, and just like snacky type stuff, and then staying out late and all hours of the night turned into a lot of partying and just things that were very out of character for me, honestly, coming from a place where I was top 3% of my class and honor roll and varsity athlete. And it really snowballed quickly. It's like when you're in your 20s and 18, 19, 20, you're led to believe that, I'm invincible. That won't happen to me. But a lot of those things started happening to me. So I think it started with the freshman 15. It went a little bit beyond that even. And so my initial thought was, okay, well, I was an athlete and I'm not doing anything now. So I'm going to hit the gym, go to the college rec with my roommate. We were both on the same page there. Like, oh my gosh, what happened? So I started exercising, but then it just became this roller coaster of, still partying, staying out late, but then trying to work it off and punish ourselves throughout the week. And I just felt awful. It turned into my first feelings of anxiety, depression, just low-grade chronic stress, essentially. And then it turned into numbness and tingling and brain fog and major hormonal imbalances and mood swings. And just like this, I felt like I was in this big sticky web, with no idea what to integrate or what to let go of to get out of this mess that I had gotten myself into. And that's kind of when Dusty came into the equation.
So living a super similar life. I was a frat kid, worked in a bar, lived on pizza and beer. I was on it. We were close to being done with school. I think at that time I was on at least one medication for acid reflux. I never felt good, right? Like terrible indigestion, gut issues. Erin's dad is a family practice doc. Ironically, was my doctor growing up. So your dad had me on at this point, like I think then it was like, hey, I still am miserable. So I think I was on like 2 different medications for acid reflux. And I'm like 23 years old. And then Erin and I, bumped into each other, not surprisingly, at a bar. After finals, I think we had like maybe 1 year of school left and got along. And we both realized like, let's get out of this. Like, let's change our lifestyles. Like the bar scene is getting old. Like we're getting old. And so we did that together. Different than Erin, I like to cook. My mom raised me to like do my own laundry and cook and all these things. And I'm like, okay, let's start. We started hanging out, obviously. Let's start cooking for ourselves. So it was meat at every, like grilling out.
He was
every opportunity.
Got to get the protein in. You're not eating enough protein. And I was just like,
and that's the worst, like the grill, the barbecue. I've heard that's the worst type of cooking we can do.
There's like carcinogens and like even, it makes it even worse. So we're from Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, college town, corn huskers. The license plate says the beef state. Like this is like our life.
Your world.
And so I'm like, well, I can't I've always been a lean guy. Even when I was eating terrible, I just was long and lean. And my buddies are like, dude, you can't not eat meat. Like, you're going to shrivel up and blow away. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So we started hearing more and more about like, well, how do you change the way you eat and live to feel better? She wanted to feel better. I wanted to feel better. And lo and behold, your dad, being a physician, your uncle, Steve, who's also a cardiologist, was like, hey, there's a guy coming to local hospital, come and listen to him. And it turned out to be Dr. Esselstyn.
Yeah.
We had no idea who that was. No idea what he was talking about when he was up there.
What young 20-something is like, oh yeah, uncle,
Totally.
like I'm going to go listen to a doctor at a hospital.
But we did.
The whole reason we did was because it had literally gotten to this point. Dusty witnessed like how many, like it was to a point where my symptoms were causing multiple strings of sleepless nights on end because I'd wake up with this like weight on my chest and this kind of a breathing type of issue to where I thought I had a rare lung disease. And then with the numbness and tingling, is it MS, you know, because Dr. Google.
Like in your feet and hands?
And Dr. Google tells you the worst case scenario. And so it was like, okay, so now I'm super anxious and panicked, but what came first? The anxiety and the panic attacks or the symptoms? And then again, that sticky web. To the point where, you know, we went on this weekend trip to San Diego together. Mid-flight, all of these symptoms flared up. And I was like, then panicking about the symptoms. And
she was like, I can't feel my leg. And I was like, it's
really
fine.
Like it went numb? You're like,
yes.
And it like got worse and worse and worse.
And this was on the plane?
This is on the plane. And I'm like, oh my God.
Coming from someone who already hates flying anyways.
She hates flying. And it got bad really fast to the point where they were like, well, we don't know what's wrong with you. And now this is an emergency situation. So we have to do something. And so I'm like, oh my gosh.
They could think it could be a stroke, right? If your
something.
Leg is numb.
Especially your leg. And so they were like, yeah, that could be like a blood clot or something. Land the plane. Nobody gets off except Erin. Ambulance meets the plane. And I'm like, now what do I do? Because they weirdly wouldn't let me off. So I had to wait in all the lines, get a rental car. Hours later, find Erin at the hospital. And you were over supplementing some things. And
what was I doing in the waiting room for like, you know, the 3 hours before they actually came and saw me, which was insane, in my opinion. I was having my visit with Dr. Google. I found a lot of information that I haven't even really talked to you a whole lot about the birth control that I had been on for 8+ years and blood clots and all of that stuff. And so I was like, okay, the first thing I thought was, that's got to go. I had this little like pill pouch with supplements and whatever else for our travels. And I was like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how it got to this point. But I just want to get rid of all of it and really just get back to the basics. So that trip ended up being something where it was like, let's just be really low key and like just
do
chill.
Nothing. Because we're usually, you know, it was like, oh, we're on vacation. Let's eat and drink and be merry and go out and have fun and all these things. But it was like, we did very little because you were stressed out and I was worried for you. And that doctor that did eventually see you, she was like, well, you're taking too much B12 and like random things.
Because the first thought was, oh, you're not taking enough B12.
Right.
Oh, no, it was sky high.
So started back at ground zero. Shortly after, then we saw Dr. Esselstyn and he was preaching a plant-based diet to heal everything, essentially. And so we did. So we went meat-free for 40 days.
We had been in a place where we thought, like I said, we were doing everything great, getting away from the bar scene and the fast food and making all of our food at home, the protein, but it was the clean, cage-free eggs and, and everything was as grass-fed as possible. But still having these symptoms escalate led us to Dr. Esselstyn, who then literally changed the trajectory of our lives, like very quickly with the 40 days that we decided to go just vegetarian because we're like, okay, this vegan thing is just insane.
That's too far.
We are
like,
too.
Whoa.
Like we're probably gonna die, you know?
And look at you guys 10 years later looking incredible. Like you guys, you know, you can tell, you can see the health, right? Like
you can feel it.
And I love that you guys did it together. Like, this is so rare, right? A lot of, you know, I think when these addictions often start at that time, like in college and stuff, and a lot of people can't drop them and it just gets worse and worse, right?
For sure.
And or like one person gets healthy and then the other person doesn't. So what a blessing. You guys are in this together.
Huge.
Like
huge
meant
blessing.
to be, right?
I know.
The one thing that we hear from people, you know, before this started, we were talking about our channels and like, we have our kids and it's a family lifestyle thing. Like what a blessing. Because like you just said, my dad, for instance, you know, is super unhealthy. My mom is healthy. Same with your parents. It's very common, right? Like the woman realizes that a change needs to be made. Our membership group, you know, we do weekly calls. It's the one thing that everybody comes, they're like, I can't get my spouse on board. I can't get my boyfriend on board. I can't get, and how hard would that be?
And then it can fall apart.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Because your alignments and you're just totally changed, right?
Yeah. There's been coaching clients who have said that very thing, you know, like my husband or my wife left me because I'm vegan and she thinks I'm crazy, or he thinks I'm, you know, whatever.
We had somebody on our Costa Rica retreat 2 or 3 years ago. Amazing guy, doctor, who said his wife literally, like him going vegan ruined their marriage because it's hard.
Wow,
it's hard, I guess. It is. I get it. But so yeah, huge blessing that we did it together. You know.
Because what do you think would have happened?
That's what I mean.
Like you were like all, or one of you guys were all into it and the other person wasn't.
I'm like thinking about where I would be. Like, I'm sure you would be here, healthy, maybe with somebody else. I feel fortunate, you know, because yeah, we did it together and I feel better than I ever expected to. At, you know, almost 40 years old, I can do more push-ups, pull-ups. Like, I'm healthier than I was 20 years ago at like 18 years old. That's not very many people can say that. I've got friends in their 30s like us who have had heart attacks. Yeah. And it's scary. And so it's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't be here today if you kept on that trajectory.
For sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Even now, I mean, that's going back to, like, we just decided to get back to the basics. And it was all things eat, move, rest. We're like, eatmoverest.com, snatched that up. Now, like, I really want to
love it because I've really learned a lot about blood sugars in the last few months. This is like my latest thing.
Yeah.
So I love it because I've really learned, like before I used to just eat even healthy foods and then just like sit all day. And I realized how important it is to move after you eat.
Right,
so did you guys think of this eat, move, rest in order like that on purpose? Because it's genius. We are supposed to eat and then move like quickly after we eat, not like sit around, right?
Yeah.
Where are those sugars going to go? Where's all that food going to go?
Right.
Yeah.
And then rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, this lifestyle feels like the food is so uplifting and energizing and leaves you feeling light instead of like lethargic and sluggish.
Right.
And so it gives you that energy you want to move your body. You have the energy to move.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, you sleep so much better. Like
because
both
you move
of us
your body,
have gone through so much like sleeplessness and insomnia.
Anxiety and insomnia for me was like, you know, such a real thing that now it's like I wake up feeling refreshed. So I want to repeat the cycle. It's like the eat, move, rest locomotive. We always joke and tell people, but it's true. You start the day with, you know, our raw, fresh fruit, our green smoothies that we had before you guys got here. You eat so well that you can't help but want to get up out of your seat. And we go for how many walks a day with the kids. And then we work out separately. Like I went to the gym at 8:30 last night on a Friday because I just felt like I wanted to. And I felt great. And I felt even better when I left. And I slept like a rock. And the cycle just repeats. And so we're like, we have to go beyond the plate. You know, like Rich Roll says, go beyond the kale, because it is more about what you eat. And so these other aspects of our lifestyles are so important. You know?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, you guys should have a book, but you guys do have a brand new book.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So let's show everybody. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And don't you guys just find this clean lifestyle brings out more creativity and productivity? Because you feel so good. So like you can create, this book is so good. I'll link it down below for you guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Erin always
teases
me.
So now, like,
Go ahead.
It's just been fun. I was going to say compiling our family's favorite recipes, which I think is another unique aspect. You know, before it was just a couple of young 20-somethings living this like fancy food life, basically. But now
when Instagram was like smoothie bowls that were pretty and like that's all it was.
Yeah, totally.
It's like super down to earth because we've got the kids getting messy, like their hands reaching into the frame as I'm taking the food photo.
Yeah.
And it's just real life, you know, and it's very relatable and it's approachable. And the recipes are, very simple and easy because we find simple and is sustainable.
Right.
And so that's what worked for us. And we've just, every step of the way with Eat, Move, Rest, it's been about like taking our mess and making it into our message.
Right.
And they say like, the wound is where the light shines through. And I feel like that's been super true for us.
Totally.
Just being the light for people and who are going through their own darkness. And
we've had
is the portal.
We've had similar crises, you know, and you don't become a vegan or anything down the spiritual path and then your life is perfect. You continue to hit things in life that are difficult, but I feel so much more well equipped to handle the hard things of life when I'm taking care of my mind, my body, my soul, etc. And so, yeah, what a blessing to have gone through a hard time in our 20s, because had I not, I would probably be like my buddies, maybe still with my buddies, you know, back in Nebraska, living that lifestyle that I desperately wanted to change, but I didn't know how, you know? And so what a blessing to have to go through the hard times. And, you know, sometimes it's worth embracing those hard times because change can come. And that's what happened to us. And yeah.
Yeah. And any advice for somebody watching going through hard times? And even on this lifestyle, like you said, like there's still hard times. And like, I think sometimes people see influencers and stuff and they just think everything's perfect.
Right.
Like any examples of maybe some hard times you guys have faced or anything you want to share maybe to uplift somebody watching going through something tough?
Oh my gosh. For one, we just got over like the worst cold season ever. I think the kids, I will say, we didn't get sick for a long time, especially after getting healthy. Now with kids, it's like impossible.
Right? Me too. Before I had kids, I never got sick. And then it's a lot,
like airports, touching everything, fingers in the mouth, and we're just like, oh my gosh, we're going to be sick. We're going to be sick for a month. That being said, again, you have to equip yourself with like the weapons. Erin calls them weapons of mass nutrition. It's so true. Like we eat our best to protect ourselves from colds and all the things, but it's very real. So we do get sick and we have had struggles. We moved away from family. We were just talking to you before. You know, we live clear across the country from all of our family. We've missed home. We've had crises. I've investments that have gone bad, and I've had, you know, sleepless nights. Life is still very real. But like I said before, I have to eat this way. I have to live this way. I have to get good sleep and wake up and exercise and do all these things, because otherwise I would be worse off. You know, so it's like for anybody else that's going through something difficult, that's what I would say is like, take the things that you can control in life and do your best with them. Start eating your best, start moving your best, start resting your best. It's funny because that is our brand, but it's so true. Such basic things that we can all be doing a little bit better can improve almost every aspect of your life.
Yeah. I feel like what we've done really quick is you make the healthy choice the easy choice. Optimize your environment and your surroundings so that for me, working out wouldn't be possible if it wasn't our makeshift garage gym with a bunch of dumbbells in it and my Peloton bike that I've slowly just added to the collection of things out there over time. But it makes the healthy choice the easy choice and takes the guesswork out of it and that mental heavy lifting of like, I know I should do this, but I don't know if I want to or if I feel like it. And it just, mood follows action. So it's easier to just bring your body and let your mind and your feelings will follow, and you'll realize how much better you can feel.
Yeah. And I saw you say once, like making the right choice with a habit leads to a next good habit and good habit and good habit, right? And the same goes for like the bad habits.
Right.
Yeah.
They're contagious, and it's a spiral. Like you're either going to spiral up or spiral down. We heard an Olympic athlete once say, like, we get comments, of course, on YouTube and stuff, and people are like, oh, isn't that a little extreme? Isn't that a little extreme? And, you know, we've had friends and family members that have had open heart surgery, right? And we've heard other doctors say, well, I think that's extreme, right? Okay, so pick your level of extreme. But this Olympic athlete said it really great once. She was like, I look at every single bite that I take, and I say, this is either helping me or hindering me. Right? It's either a carrot or a potato chip. There isn't any in between. This is either good for me or not as good for me. Same thing with, you know, your lifestyle. This exercise is either going to help me or not exercising. You know, just look at simple things in life and do like Erin said. Make the healthy choice, make it easy. So don't bring the chips home. Don't bring the McDonald's home, right? And start collecting. Get on Facebook Marketplace and buy some dumbbells or buy a stationary bike and bring it into the house so you don't have an excuse, you know?
Yeah, true. And it's because it's not just food. It's those other things too, right?
Yeah.
But I know, like I saw a video where you talked about your dad and how he left, and like that's a big thing to face in life, right?
Right, yeah.
Like I get those hard, because I've experienced some really hard things like that. So how do you like not hold on to things and like be angry and towards somebody when they hurt you, because that can like destroy somebody, right? So like how do you let things go, like how from such a dark experience, like how did you do that?
Weird that you should bring that up. I actually just talked to my dad on the phone for like an hour. Like, was it yesterday or the day before? Great conversation. But yeah, he left a long time ago, and we basically don't have a relationship. And for a lot of years, I used to tell Erin, like, I would go to the gym and do these things, and I would recognize that I would be having arguments in my head, like with my dad, just like hypothetical, because I was so angry. I was so angry. I was so hurt. I was so sad, all these things. And I finally recognized that. And I was like, this is the poison. It's like drinking poison and hoping someone else gets sick, right? That's what I was doing. And then we started cleaning up our diet, our lifestyle. You know, we're Erin and I are Christ followers. You start making these changes where you start honestly feeling different. Helped. I felt lighter. I started to feel not as weighed down mentally, physically, I think because of the foods that we were eating. That stuff helps. It's like a portal. We started doing our retreats in Costa Rica, and you start meeting people that have similar situations and conversations. Brian in Costa Rica, we read the book. He mentions the book Radical Forgiveness, you know, and when you stop consuming death and you start living in the light, I just started honestly feeling like these things started to fall away. My anger for my dad all of a sudden became like almost compassion and empathy. I felt sorry for him. I still do. We have people that make, you know, say hurtful things about our family on the internet. My initial reaction is to be angry. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pray for that person because that is what they need. And it completely removes me from that anger, that darkness, that heaviness. And Erin always says, are you light or are you dense? In this lifestyle, you know, not consuming death. I know that sounds extreme, but I think it's a very real thing.
I mean, it is really, it's that energy, right?
It's energy, man. And so I think that has helped.
And don't you think that's helped you guys' spirituality? Because I know you guys have a connection to God and everything too. Yeah, don't 100%. You feel much more connected?
Absolutely. Totally. And it takes so much more of your energy to be angry and resentful than it does to be the opposite.
Right.
And I feel like going back to the online haters too, it's like, wow, my heart, all of a sudden I prayed to God, like break my heart for this person.
Yeah.
Do the opposite. And I all of a sudden felt just, I don't know, just this sense of like, I just can't, you either feel like when someone comes at you, you either feel like my initial reaction is recoil, retract, retreat, like hide away. Like I need to quit everything because this is like humiliating to me and I feel awful.
Yeah.
But I've recognized that like
hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
And it's so true because happy people aren't saying mean things online or making videos about people. Like you're not in a good space if you're doing those things, really, right? So the highest level is to have compassion for those people. And you're living from a place of more Godward and love rather than a place of fear, right?
Totally.
Do you guys ever have moments where you're just like,
for sure.
As a content creator, it's a lot. Like I raise my kids mostly alone. I do the content. It's a lot. Sometimes I have my days where I'm like, should I do this? But I'm like, it just brings me to life. I love it. It feeds me. But do you guys have your days where you're like, this is a lot. Like, should we just stop?
I mean,
we had a 2-hour argument last night that ended with me, again, going to the gym. We came back. We sorted things out. And it wasn't necessarily even like between us as much as it was our work. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. Yeah, you put content out to hopefully help inspire people and they don't get it. Or someone gets a hold of it and says negative things and it's frustrating and it makes us argue. But again, you recognize that's the darkness trying to infiltrate the light that we're trying to bring. And so there's only a war if you choose to fight back. And so Erin and I have just decided, or it's a constant battle, again, daily. Like last night, we had a hard time to decide, I'm not going to fight back at this. I'm just going to let it dissolve because we're elevating, right? The darkness fades and we're going to elevate.
I feel like it feels hard at first, but then I've learned to look at it through the perspective of it's not ever going to get easier. You're getting stronger. So whatever you're going through, when it feels like that heavy lifting is there again, think of it the same way you would when you're lifting at the gym. You have to increase your weight to get stronger. So, you know, every step of the way, you're going to encounter something that might be a little bit more difficult, but you're going to get a little bit stronger.
Right. Yeah.
See, it's kind of good. Like the person it molds you into as a content creator, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I thank God for some of those situations that have allowed us to our hearts have softened, but we've grown thicker skin. And I think that's a powerful combo.
And it's like we're on a planet of light and dark. I think sometimes we just always want everything good. And it's like, oh, but there's darkness here too, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we learn. Well, I want to learn some of your guys' secrets because you guys are looking great. And a lot of people think like they need the, dead energy from the animals and everything, right? Or they're going to fall apart. And even some vegans, like they leave and
quit.
They feel better. Like they quit. My friend Ava just did, and people do. So what do you think are your guys like keys? Aren't Erin and Dusty absolutely incredible? And I know they have some incredible favorite items that are also some of my personal faves that have helped them in their health journey big time over the years. So I wanted to share a couple of those with you really quick and offer you guys a discount as well. So one being the Nama Juicer. They use the Nama Juicer and so do I. It is a game changer. So easy to use, easy to clean, best juicer in the game. Same with the new Nama M1 plant-based milk maker. It creates the best milk on earth. And we also both use these supplements by Complement. They are incredible. They are an all-in-one that have so many nutrients packed into one supplement. I love those. And lastly, the Prana Mat. This is a game changer in my house and something I need to get around to doing more often. This is absolutely incredible. It is an acupressure mat that truly relieves all your stress, gets you breathing better, and makes you feel like you literally just had a 60-minute massage, and you can do it right at home. It is worth the money and absolutely amazing. So I can give you guys big savings on all these things. I will put the links down below, including the codes. Go grab them. They're all awesome. And let's get back to the podcast. Because you guys are radiating. Like, I see that. So, like, what are the keys? Like, anybody that says otherwise, they should get some help.
Well, like, likewise, I feel the same when I watch the content.
And it's not just you, and it's not just us. It's our mutual friend Shane, who's 50 or almost 50, whatever. It's so many other of our friends that live like this. Our moms aren't vegan, but they're pretty darn close, and they're also radiating. So it's like Erin always says, we sometimes try to stay away from the V word because we want to be welcoming. Start small, start with the Meatless Monday, but you will recognize that the more plants you bring in, the more, uplifting activities and the exercise, all these things we're talking about, the more you do, the more you radiate. And I think life breeds life. So Erin always tells the story about the sweet potato that we found in the cupboard that was alive. It was in the dark, dead, fell down in the back of the cupboard or laundry room, wherever it was, but it was sprouting. It was still alive. That doesn't happen if your T-bone falls down there, right? or even a roasted almond versus a raw almond, like you always say too. I'm stealing your lines here.
It's good.
So Erin took the sweet potato, peeled the buds off, put it in water. The reel went viral because it was so, I think, obviously inspiring to people to see life breeds life. We put it in the garden bed, and 2 months later had 40 or 50 sweet potatoes. Same with an onion, right? We found an onion that was sprouting back there. There's things that are alive. I want that in my body. I feel like
what really started it for us was we dug our blender out of the box that it came in. We got it as a wedding gift, and it sat like in a cabinet somewhere for 2 years.
Right.
We unboxed it and started playing around with green smoothie recipes.
Yeah.
Now to this day, literally, like that's the thing I look forward to that like gets me up in the morning every single day is having that green smoothie that tastes so good, and it's evolved with us and gotten better and better to the point where it's like, I feel confident any person could drink this and love it. If they're afraid of the green color, if they hate the taste of kale, it tastes amazing. But yeah, it's like a salad in a glass and a multivitamin in a glass. And honestly, like kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'm set for the day. Like I could go anywhere and eat anything. And I'm just glad that I at least did that for myself in the morning.
You're making me want this smoothie. We should do this in the kitchen.
We should have waited.
Yeah.
Maybe, for sure we should do it after this.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah. I don't know. But if not, I'll try to get the recipe to put down below if we don't.
Yeah.
That's an easy first step is like get a blender. It doesn't have to be a Vitamix, although eventually if you really get into it, you need one because we use it multiple times a day. But even just like a little mini NutriBullet or something like that.
Yeah, we took our NutriBullet.
I feel like
we were talking about New York and how much fun New York is. We took our NutriBullet to New York, and we've done this for a long. We took one to Italy when we went to Italy. Like I said, because you get to this point where you recognize coffee doesn't make me feel this good, right? But this green smoothie, you mentioned us radiating. This fills my body. I can't explain it. It just makes me feel alive. Yeah. And my skin is better than it was. Again, everything is better.
But also,
so it's like, why would I change?
We say like add before you subtract. So like if you're not wanting to kick your coffee or whatever your typical morning breakfast is, like just add this in with it, because those good things will crowd out the bad naturally over time. And that makes it kind of an easier, more steady transition as your taste buds adapt, your gut microbiome adapts.
Yep.
So
I think that's an important thing too to mention is the microbiome. Like, it's kind of a weird thing. What is it? We don't really know. You can listen to doctors talk about it. The main thing we tell people, again, with the green smoothie, we're like, everybody wants to know where to start. We say, start there. Like Erin just said, don't cut anything else out. Just start by adding this in. And what it does to your gut is it makes you crave these foods later in the day, right? So you start with basically a salad in a glass. By lunchtime, you're like, you know what? A cheeseburger doesn't sound as good as, even if it's a Chipotle bowl.
Yeah.
That sounds better. Well, that's an upgrade. And you start to crave better and better foods. So that's just, that's what has happened.
Because there's more of those probiotic gut flora than there are human cells in our body. So I just always get down to that, like, Miss Frizzle magic school bus level and think about when I'm consuming these foods, and that gut flora is just like excited and teeming and proliferating, and then it makes you crave those foods in time.
So you guys really don't miss the other foods. Like, you don't miss the old lifestyle, right?
Even throughout 3 plant-based pregnancies, I never once craved meat, which everybody warned me of, and I was like, wow. I didn't.
I will say I'm more of a junk food vegan. We laughed about this. We talked about this yesterday. If we're in New York or LA or anywhere cool, of course I'm going to go get an amazing vegan burger, right? Oh. But I never actually went. In fact, we were in Miami. We just got off an airplane and we went to the one place. It was midnight. There was one vegan place open, and I got a burger, but it was like an Impossible Burger or something. It was so much like meat. It's like I almost didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And I would have preferred like a black bean burger instead, So it's like going back to the microbiome, your body learns to crave what you give it, And so they've done studies, and that's why alcoholics really struggle, because they're also consuming, that it's going into their gut, it's affecting what their body's literally craving. Well, same thing if you're giving it good stuff. So for me, no cravings, none of that stuff,
Good. And do you guys check your blood work, or you're getting the right amount this time? Like some supplements, not too much or too little?
Yeah, we get on chronometer and track every once in a while just to keep things in check and see where we're at, and then getting our blood work done. We kind of geek out about that stuff. And
Again, Erin's dad's a physician, so if we go home, we go home every couple months, and so we pop in, get blood work done. He gets annoyed when we go in because he's like, you guys, it's going to be perfect. It's always been perfect. We haven't done a lot with the kids. Max just turned 6, but he did get blood work done recently. Same thing. And I can't remember if we told the doctor we were vegan or not. I don't think we did, because we sometimes just like to see.
I get it.
And she was like, besides the fact that he has a bad cold, his blood work was perfect.
Good.
And so we were like, it's scary as a parent. Right? To be like, I hope we're doing the best thing for our kids. And we do the research, and we have doctor friends that say, you're doing it well and you're doing it right. But that's confirmation when you see the blood work and it says, kids are perfect.
And on top
you guys are
of that,
perfect.
just like your mama bear instinct, it's like, holy cow, he's the best kid on his baseball team. He's so coordinated and just so attentive to like people's emotional energies, but also just like intellectual as well. I feel like they're just all 3 kids are just thriving. So I mean,
calm too. It's so good. Like,
I've never been given a red flag. As a mom, it's like if you have a red flag, you course correct.
Yeah.
So
I think talking about the spiritual aspect, like we were a few minutes ago, this happened when Max was 1-ish. Your aunt, who's also a physician, Erin comes from a family of doctors, brilliant people, and she isn't always the easiest person. She's not a big compliment giver, I will say. Mm-hmm. She made a point to walk across the room and she said, you guys, Max is the calmest, most aware baby I've ever seen. And she said, I think she's Indian, 100% Indian. And so they're more connected to their food, right? Ayurveda and all this stuff.
She was raised vegetarian.
She said, I think it's because he's vegan. And she walked away. And we were like, what confirmation from somebody who is super intelligent, number one. She's a pediatric cardiologist. She sees sick kids all day, every day. And she came and told us that our little vegan baby was like the most aware. And she's not that type of person. So we were like, other people are also recognizing the calmness, the awareness, the health that's oozing from our children too, you know?
My other physician uncle kind of gave us the look of disapproval when Max was born and said, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he hasn't said a word since because Max is 6 years old now. He's like, hey, Max, what's up? Fist bump, you know? Like.
And Max he asks adults how they are and he has conversations. And yes, coaches after baseball come to me and say, what are you guys, are you getting private coaching on the side? I'm like, dude, no. He's just a healthy kid, you know?
Yeah, well, way to go, guys.
It's been easy. And I feel like, again, it's been part of our mission. It's like just been bestowed upon us because we were willing to accept it, right? Like, I can't remember the movie, This Is Your Mission, Should You Be Willing to Accept? But honestly, that's how I feel because it was scary in the beginning. There was a point where I was scared for you, and then I was scared for me. There's been plenty of times where I've been scared for myself, right? And I'm like, but man, I feel so good. I feel equipped.
Yeah, and I can't see you guys becoming like ex-vegans or, you know, going to the other side or something. I'll be surprised. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore, but I'd be very surprised with that one. And it's working, so why go back, right?
Right. If it's not broken, why try to fix it?
Yeah, there's no problems, like, clearly. And you guys seem to have a really good relationship too, and it's long-standing. And you also homeschool, work at home. Like that would rip a lot of people apart.
Yeah.
So any secrets to a healthy relationship and making it work?
I feel like we should be giving advice.
Solid communication, I think, is important. You've taught me the value in that. He has his degree in communication. And I just feel like whether it's like comfortable communication and like words of affirmation and all of that, which you are stellar at and I'm working on because I've seen it from you, but also, you know, not just that communication, but also the difficult things.
Right.
Like just addressing them before they get swept under the rug. And then it's like, ooh, I don't want to go under there. It's too messy under there. Like just always addressing it, whether it's happy or sad or angry.
Yeah,
really helps to get that energy.
If you don't release it and get it out and you suppress it, that can lead to problems.
And then it boils up the next time. And so again, going back to like my dad in that situation, I watched my parents go through a divorce, and like day one, if there was something I didn't like that Erin was doing, I was like, hey, I don't like that. Let's fix it instead of letting it build. And that's hard in the moment. But like you just said, it's been good for both of us. And I'm like, you tell me too. Like if I'm doing something, if I'm being a jerk, tell me so I can fix it, you know? Because sometimes we don't know, we have our blind spots.
Because I grew up in this, like, it was just like, let's just figure this out later kind of.
Yeah, kind of a hush.
I'm too hurried or it's too uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know? And my family was like, let's sit at, well, not always. Obviously my parents didn't work out, but my dad at least did. When I was in school, he was like, you know, you can do a million things to make good money in this life. The one thing you need to do is learn how to be a good communicator, whether you're a doctor or a salesman. And so that's what I studied. And I appreciate that because it affects our business and most importantly, our relationship with the kids. And it's like, let's not be busy. Let's sit down. Let's fight it out if we have to and feel better later and tomorrow.
Yeah, good point. I think the good communication is the key.
Yeah.
It's like running away or ignoring it, not communicating. That's when more and more problems start.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. Well, people have some questions. Cool. Somebody said, so how many kids do you guys have? We have 3, right? And do you want more?
Yeah.
Well, on the good days where things are jiving, I'm like, I want a litter. I want all the babies.
Yeah.
And then on the difficult days, I'm like, whoa, maybe we need to pump the brakes. We're outnumbered now. Like, that's difficult enough.
I feel like you definitely, I'm going to speak for you and say you want more kids. I think I do too, but it's, I think
we're just kind of trying to be very organic about it, the same way we are with food we eat. It's funny, but just like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, there was a point in our relationship where somebody told us, he was like, why aren't you guys having kids yet? Like, just be organic about it. And we were like, oh, touche, right? Because he was like speaking our language.
That was a priest. Okay?
It was a priest.
Our priest friend said it.
He was like, dude, come on, guys. And lo and behold, his kids started showing up. But yeah, you know, the huge blessing. And so to say no would be like, you can't say no.
Yeah.
But right now we're not planning for more. We're not trying right now.
The baby looks exactly like Dusty though, right? Like it's wild.
If somebody finally has dark hair.
Does that make you happy?
Head of hair.
Does that make you happy?
Oh, so much. I was just telling Erin, like, I can't wait. I'm excited to be a girl dad, and I can't wait till they're like 20 years old and like tall and gorgeous, and we can walk around and just, it's going to be so fun, you know, to just be a parent. So that's what, them growing up is what makes me want to have more and more.
Yeah, those years will be nice. I'm looking forward to those years.
Yeah.
And somebody said, love them. They're go-tos for feeding the kids when they decide they don't like veggies. Does that happen with your kids?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We do the hidden veggie pasta where we still have the veggies in there, but they're pureed.
Is that in the book? It's probably in the book, isn't it? Yeah,
I think it is. Is it? It's either in the book or the app. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, you guys have a good app too. I'll put the app down below, everything down below.
So I think that we get the veggies in, we just hide them.
The kids, they'll never refuse pasta or spaghetti, right? So like tonight, it's Saturday, I'll probably be doing a big feast for the kids, spaghetti and pasta and bread and all the things indulgent. And I'll blend it. I'll put mushrooms, carrots, and now they're coming in, so I have to say it quietly. Zucchini, all the things in red sauce, where Erin and I would just leave it. I'll just put it in the Vitamix, and they have no idea.
But I think too, like even if your veggies aren't an option, like just taking simple foods and making them the best possible upgrade. So like with pasta, rather than just a plain wheat pasta, we do like the lentil or chickpea because they're ridiculously high in protein and iron, which kids need so much of. Yeah. So I think things like
good for blood sugar too, those pastas.
Yeah,
there's so many great options that are widely available now that didn't used to be, I feel like. So it makes it a lot easier to
feed them noodles, you know, when you're like, oh, I don't want to just give my kid noodles. I'm like, it's lentils.
Yeah, and
like, that's amazing.
It's good you guys are online creating books like this and showing people because the world needs this.
For sure.
So many kids are getting cancer, diabetes now.
Oh, I know.
Like I was reading something, it said like in 1950, kids never got cancer.
Right.
And people like rarely did. Now it's like crazy, right? So the world needs more of this.
For sure.
So it's good what you guys are doing.
Yep.
Totally. A turtle.
Oh, you did a turtle? Oh. And I wanted to ask you guys too, do you guys do any cleanses or no? And have you guys ever done raw or tried it or no?
I started out very, very fascinated by the raw lifestyle. And I was like, I was raw till 4 until I got pregnant. And then all of a sudden I was just like,
starving,
craving a lot more food in general, and then breastfeeding, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like oats, everything, just because they're great for lactation, and that went bye-bye. I mean, I was like dabbling in doing like some of the just simple 3-day juice cleanses and things like that. Made an ebook for that and had a blast. And I think someday I'll kind of go back that direction a little bit more.
But again, Zoe's still asleep and she's connected by the nip. Erin always says. So it's like at least
attached at the nip.
At least for now, I think I'll eat whatever. I will probably not ever be fully raw because I like to cook too much. But we for sure did together before the kids were born. I would do raw till 4. Felt amazing. Yeah, you know, it's great. And so maybe when the kids are grown and we actually move to Costa Rica and like get rid of our clothes and our shoes and everything, then we can do it.
Did you guys live there before or no?
No,
I lived there for a year. It's nice there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no Sarah and Samara.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I could see you guys there.
Yeah, I think we did 7 retreats there. So we've been there a ton and love it. But
it's a special place.
Yeah.
You just, it's a special place.
We could be raw.
The couple that owned the retreat center where we were hosting at was from Florida, and they're the ones that convinced us Costa Rica might not be the next step for you guys, but try Florida. So that's why we're here, actually.
Yeah. So they were
Brian and Jody.
Shout out to them. Those guys are great. And they actually just sold their retreat center, which is kind of sad. Yeah. So we're gonna have to figure out something new. But they were raw for a lot of years, healed themselves. They were kind of our teachers, like our step 2 teachers. And so love the raw lifestyle. Love everything about it. It's just really hard with kids. So
totally makes sense. Okay. And somebody said, have you ever had low iron on a plant-based diet?
During pregnancy, like full transparency, yes. And my midwife has told me I see just as much of it, if not more, in my meat-eating patients than I do in the plant-based eaters. And sometimes it's almost unavoidable because baby just you know, acts essentially as a really cute, sweet little parasite.
Yeah.
And so it was a very quick, simple fix though. But again, just getting that confirmation from her that it's not just you, it's not just your diet, it's pretty much prevalent.
And Erin's dad too, because she of course is like, oh my gosh, this diet's failing me, right? It's a normal thing to do. But even your dad's like, I've got plenty of steak eating, you know, women that come in here and they're also iron deficient, so don't take it personally.
I never have struggled with anemia, no iron deficiency symptoms.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And even when people aren't pregnant, like my friend back in Toronto, she eats a lot of meat and she had really low iron.
Right. Yeah.
Low iron and vitamin D, like dangerously low, was losing her hair, and she eats a lot of meat.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So it's not always...
We say lentils. Lentils, I mean, like red lentils, pound for pound, I think have just as much protein and iron as red meat. So again,
that's what I've heard.
Lentil noodles, lentil bakes. We do these Italian lentils. You just did them for YouTube a couple days ago. So
yeah, because you guys do put a focus on protein, right? Protein's important, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially as we get older.
Yeah. Oh, especially as we get older. Dr. I think is Walter with a V. Walter Longow is an Italian longevity doctor. It's funny because his name is Longow, and he says his whole thing is vegan, like until you're 70 or something. Which, you know, we'll see. I'm going to try to be vegan for forever, but it's because of the protein. He said when you get older, he said sometimes it's easier for older people to throw in like vegan plus fish, I think is what he says. But other than that, he says lentils, chickpeas, like these are premium sources of protein for anybody. And so that's what we focus on.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. And somebody said, can you ask Erin a little bit about what benefits Olivia has given her? Thanks. What benefits? A little bit about what benefits Olivia has given her. Maybe
just being as maybe your first daughter.
Benefits. I would say, well, I always envisioned myself either not being a mom or being a boy mom.
Yeah.
So finding out that we had our first girl, my mind was blown, and I was like, I was the tomboy playing football and baseball with my brother and his friends. So I was like, whoa, this is new territory. But I was actually really, really surprised that it's been so much fun and such a blessing, because it's helped me to tap into my feminine side, because she is just all girl, which is bizarre. I'm like, where did you get this from?
We're laughing because she's on what, dress number 2 or 3 in like the hour that you
her baby dolls and her stroller, and she's always like swaddling her stuffed animals and tucking them into bed, and I'm like, wow, this girl's going to be a stellar mom.
That being said, I told you I was on the phone with my dad the other day, and he was like, you know, I didn't have girls or whatever. And I'm like, well, I've got 2. And my 3-year-old told me she can't wait to have a baby in her tummy someday. So I've got that to look forward to as a father. But I'm so glad to be a girl dad, because my uncles and so many men that I look up to had girls. And I think it does soften you. You know, it makes you have to soften up. You know, I can be hard on Max because he's my boy, and you have to be different around girls. So Liv was a huge, really exciting for me.
And now we've got 2 of them.
Now we got 2.
2 little girls.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Let me just sorry guys, one sec. Do they try to limit how much date, maple syrup, dried fruit, and cacao the kids eat? Or even you guys? Do you guys limit any of that? Do you guys consume cacao?
So.
Yeah.
I think mainly we have it at breakfast, but we don't.
We definitely don't limit it. No, we definitely don't limit it. We're eating lots of, Erin, especially again breastfeeding. You're making muffins and brownies, but they're like superfood brownies, right? So we do put cacao and dates for sweetener.
My main sweetener I go to is dates, as much as I can use those, because
she orders them by the case. So and I think dates are even. I follow these girls, I think it's called Just Dates, the brand, and they have done research where dates don't spike your blood sugar. Like, it's weird. I have to learn more about it before I talk too much about it. But anyway, it's a great alternative for sweeteners. So definitely in our cookbook, on the app, on YouTube, Erin's got amazing date sweetened recipes.
Awesome. Okay, and somebody said, do they ever consider opening a restaurant?
Oh, man.
That's a lot on top of what you guys got going on.
We talked about it back in Nebraska, just because there weren't a lot of options.
Nothing,
but like my dream someday would be to be a part of getting into, Dusty thinks this is funny, but like our family is big Husker football, college football fans.
Oh, right.
We used to go to every single home game since the day I can remember, I want to be able to get into stadiums and have healthy options for people, you know, because all you can eat is the popcorn and it's oily and I don't want that anyway. And it's not filling. If you're sitting there, especially for like a 4-hour football game, it's like there has to be something. Like, how can we, you know, get
I think extend that to concerts, you know, like any venues, basically, that would be cool. So I think maybe more than a restaurant, maybe it would be like a company that we can send products to venues. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Healthy again.
Yeah.
You know,
what are some goals for yourselves? Like, where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years, or like any big plans that you guys have?
Gosh, it's hard to think past the day, you know, we're just usually trying to make it through this day. But that being said, we've had success because we're such big dreamers. So we're talking to you now about if we sell our house, where do we go? We would love to do some travel. The restaurant thing would be fun, actually, now that I think about it. We would love to do more retreats, I think, for sure, because we did do so many retreats in Costa Rica. We're thinking about doing one in Europe this year. We've got some friends in Portugal, so definitely more retreats. Erin has multiple book ideas, so hopefully more books, possibly
fitness content.
Erin needs to start a fitness channel.
We like throw the ideas out there and see what opportunities present themselves, and just kind of, you know, let
you should start a fitness channel. That's a good idea.
She needs to. She's really good at it. And then bridging the gap to like into beyond food and fitness. This house actually was our first collaboration with an eco-friendly builder here in Florida. So we're currently building like 64 homes over by you guys on the East Coast that are, again, eco-friendly, recycled steel, recycled materials, solar power, that it's like, okay, now we have clean water, clean air, clean homes. It's an extension of the lifestyle that we're living. So I think that could be something cool in the future too, that we're excited about.
Because that's important, right? There could be things in our home, the way the homes are built and stuff, affecting us.
Totally. So many people talk about mold, especially here in Florida, right? Lots of rain, mold, and there's no wood in this house. There's nothing for the mold
I love that,
nowhere for it to be. So that was really exciting for us because we lived in an old house back home and we didn't like the way it smelled. You know, we didn't like what was in the attic and all these things. So beyond what you eat, your environment is huge. So I think that could be something to look forward to.
And the people we surround ourselves with, right?
100%.
Like, is that not huge?
Right.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's changed a lot for you guys as you've gotten healthy, right?
No. A lot of friends that we don't hear from anymore, you know, and that was hard at first, but now again, it's like, man, I feel so bad this person doesn't call me anymore. But now it's kind of like, oh, I feel like I need to reach out to them because maybe we could help in some way. And so, it's, even us meeting, we've been friends, but we all have now met in person. It's exciting. It's life-giving when you meet people that, again, it's like a reciprocal exchange of high vibes.
Yeah.
So you have to surround yourself with good people.
Yeah, I agree. And somebody asked, how long did it take my friend Ava, A Splash of Goodness?
Yeah.
You guys know her?
Yeah.
She said, how long did it take to write the book?
Oh my gosh.
I would say all in all, maybe like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Too
long because we did it all ourselves.
Yeah.
We made all the recipes. I was in the kitchen making recipes. Erin was on the floor taking the photos. And we didn't do it in a stretch of like a week or two, you know, by hiring a crew. It was like, let's make these dinner recipes and actually eat them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we took our time.
So many of them like evolved
Just
too.
one sec.
It was kind of cool.
Yeah, and you guys had a publisher, right? You didn't self-publish.
No.
Yeah, that's great.
HarperCollins, which was super exciting because they've done a lot of the big plant-based doctor books. So that was exciting to have them come along.
5 minutes, okay?
And hopefully we'll have more books to come.
Yeah, you guys will. It's doing great. So, okay. Do you guys, sorry, hold on one sec. What was your favorite, this was a little random, favorite New York restaurant?
Oh, I'll say, you go first. I think I got one.
Well, Quantum Leap was the one that we've gone.
That's a good one. That's a secret little gem.
We've gone to like 3 times, so I guess I would say since we've gone back, we love it.
Quantum Leap, it's a cute little one. In fact,
it used to be down near NYU campus, near Washington Square Park, which is like my favorite location.
Yeah.
But then they moved, and we like tracked them down and found.
They're like Upper East Side now. Quantum Leap is cool, but I like Matthew Kinney. If you're familiar with Matthew Kinney and he's got a lot of raw cooking courses and stuff that you did, and I was there also doing. He has 00, And that, again, because I love Italian food, I think it's mostly pizza, but it's a vegan pizza place, 00.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And someone was asking favorite quick meals, because like we're all busy, right? Favorite quick vegan meals?
Yeah. Well, again,
other than the smoothie?
I'm gonna just keep throwing the pasta and Italian food out there. So I would say get some healthy brown rice or lentil noodles. Mm-hmm. Make some sauce with some more lentils in it, mushrooms, zucchini, all those things. I can make a big bowl meal of pasta for the kids and for all of us in like 20, 30 minutes, and then it lasts a couple days, and it's always my favorite.
I like our big like quinoa veggie immunity soup. It's just like quinoa and then like every color of the rainbow veggies, like just chop and drop in the pot, and it lasts a couple days too. So you're not having to cook the next day. So
we've had that on repeat because again, it's been cold and we've all had colds. So that's a definite favorite. It's light. It's easy for the kids to just, if they only want to pick the quinoa and the carrots out of it, it's got so much goodness in it.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, and to end off, maybe what are the 3 greatest things you guys have learned about health?
Oh man, that mental health.
Say it was like, mental health, right?
Yeah.
I love that it's a journey, honestly. Like, you never reach this end point. I like that we're always picking up on new information and new things we can integrate into our lives. Like that toolbox or that tackle box, whatever you want to call it, like just keeps getting fuller of amazing things at our fingertips, and also realizing so many of them are free. Just like going outside barefoot, then watching a sunset and just deep breathing. These simple practices that we take for granted are right there for us.
And I'll say that too. What, sweetie?
True. When you said that, it just reminded me, like they say the most abundant things in life are free, you know, like the sun and the sunsets and grounding.
And even if you dabble in growing your own food, you know, it can be so abundant. One little tiny mango tree on the side of our house is just like goes crazy every mango season. Yeah,
which I might need to throw a net over because the birds are going after it. But I was going to say mental health because I've recognized that as important as it is to eat and move and rest and do it all your best, if your mental health isn't in check, nothing else matters. So do the deep breathing. I wear an Apple Watch that I swore I wouldn't for years because I didn't want the radiation and all the things, but it reminds me to breathe. And it helps me like with simple things that I'm like, oh, it connects me more, I think, a little bit to my body and my brain and my breath. And I'm like, wow, my mental health matters so much more than anything, because I can feel amazing, I can look amazing, but if I'm not good up here, I'm not good down here, right? So I prioritize my mental health first, and then the rest just flows even easier.
And any other tips for like dealing with stress, like to keep our mental health good?
I think, you know, again, the breathing has been so huge for me. There's people like Wim Hof, who you're probably familiar with, the cold plunge guy, that there's certain practices that take you out of the physical body, right? Like jumping into cold water, it does something, and it makes you realize that you have more control over what's up here, what's going on when you're so frigid. Yeah, sweeties. Yeah, we'll do it in 1 second, okay?
We're almost done.
We're almost done, sweeties.
Sorry, guys, to take your parents for so long.
We'll be done in like 5 minutes, guys, okay?
Yeah, we're almost done.
Okay, but be quiet.
You guys do the cold plunge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys do it every day?
No, in fact, the cold plunge has been drained because we were out of town for like a month. So I need to refill it. But I have been getting in the pool a couple of times because the pool is freezing right now. But it's helped me to recognize, and going back to Brian and Jody from Costa Rica, Brian came because when they're in Florida, they're not far from us. And he got in the cold plunge didn't even flinch. Like, it's not something he does, but he's got this immense power over his mind, and he has techniques, and I'm always learning. You can control your breath, you can control your heart rate, you can control all these things with your mind, and it's crazy. And so when I'm stressed, when I'm nervous, when I have an investment that's gone wrong and I'm having sleepless nights, I can detach right from here. Or if we're having an argument, it's not always easy, but I'm learning that deep breathing and certain things for example, the deep breathing pushes up, your diaphragm pushes up on your heart, slows your heart rate, slows your blood flow, which slows your thinking. Like simple things that are just mind-blowing to me. And they're taking my health beyond the plate, and it's been such a fun journey. So.
And who knows where you guys are going to go next, right?
Yeah,
so we'll have to interview in the future and see what happens.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, and okay, I'll put the book down below. Everybody go grab the book, get their app, everything. And where can everybody find you guys?
Yeah.
𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆.com or our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Also, Eat, Move, Rest. And Instagram is where we actually get to connect a lot in our DMs. We are able to, at this point, reply to all of our DMs and get into conversation and invite people into our atmosphere and our membership if it's a right fit. And
that's what I was going to say. The membership, we go live. We do Zoom calls every Friday, which is so fun because our retreats were amazing, but getting to actually talk to people, it's very one-sided on YouTube, but when you get to hear back from people, it's fun.
People feel the community there because we're tribal creatures. We need community, people in the same mindset and everything, you know?
Right.
All right, guys. Well, we should wrap this up. Okay, everybody go follow Erin and Dusty. I'll put all the links down below. Go grab everything, and I'll put another great video on the screen right now. We might do something in the kitchen. I'm not sure yet. So if we do, make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I'll post that up next. And I love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Peace, guys.